Welcome everyone to Stone Soup Poetry. Thank you all for coming. I think we'll have some more people joining us as we should. And I heard at least a few promises that if they can't join us on the open mic, they'll be paying attention via the Facebook feed. If you do have access to Facebook right now, you can share the Stone Soup live feed via Facebook at the Stone Soup Poetry homepage. So we have an amazing feature tonight. I've been trying to get to him for a while now, and we've gotten teasers or we've gotten like bits of his work from various poetry festivals, the Boston Poetry Marathon, the Cambridge Poetry Mashup. He's been everywhere, and I'm finally glad to get him here. Sam Cha is featuring tonight. He is the author of the Little Yellow Book, which is available for purchase, and I'll be putting the information for that. Either I will, or if Sam's quicker than me, he can. We do have an open mic, and people are encouraged to give their best tonight, as you always do, and to stall for Bill until he gets back. He should be back soon. Usually when he's all I shall return, he returns within 5-10 minutes tops. We're going to start with one of the first people to come on and join us as an online friend. Strictly, he's never been to the Stone Soup venue in person, but he has made hopefully almost as many appearances on the Stone Soup open mic as I have on the Zoom call. So he is in competition with John Stickney to be the open micer, and he is the master of 1,000 open mics online. Let's welcome up Mr. John Wesick.
Yeah, gee, Chad, maybe I don't exist in the flesh at all. Maybe I'm just an AI on the computer here.
I do have that theory.
Yes, okay. I looked both ways before entering, except for a busker with a guitar. Only the usual students, hipsters, and homeless treaded the Cambridge sidewalks. The bank's foyer was empty except for 2 brushed steel cash machines. Fluorescent lights cast a purplish glow over the counter and the paper receipt someone had left behind. Satisfied, I slid my bank card into the slot. My minor surgery had gone well. I didn't even need the Percocet for the pain, so I flushed them down the toilet without a thought about what the opioids did to the sea creatures downstream. To celebrate, I was going to hit the raw bar at the Little Donkey before my improv class. The restaurant knew how to do it right. King crab, little neck clams, oysters on the half shell, and tuna tartare. I could almost smell it. The machine beeped and took my cash. Give me your money. A mugger with a gurgling voice stuck something sharp in my back. It was hard to tell, but the weapon seemed to have 2 points. The lobby behind locked glass doors was empty, so no help was likely to come from the bank staff. If I pivoted, swung my arm, and applied a wrist lock, I might disable the mugger, but it would be risky. $100 wasn't worth a trip to the emergency room. I handed over the cash. The door banged as my attacker fled. I turned in time to see an SUV slam on the brakes to avoid plowing into a 6-foot lobster dashing across Massachusetts Avenue. His shell was bluish green, and each of his legs ended in Asics running shoes. The half-dozen guys beatboxing for tips outside the liquor store paid the larcenous crustacean no mind as he scrambled down the concrete steps to the tea station. Yeah, we've seen an uptick in robberies by sea creatures lately, Officer Brimley said. He had unkempt hair, a toothbrush mustache, and a belly that hung over his gun belt. A blob of cocktail sauce shaped like a sea urchin stained his khaki shirt. The police station was empty except for the 2 of us. Wanted posters of a gooey duck with gang tattoos and a shark with teeth rotted by meth hung on the poster board. People been flushing opioids down the toilet. Fish get a taste for it and have to steal to support their habit. Crustaceans are the worst. Hell, the DA just sees 1,000 kilos of Mexican brown at the aquarium, but it didn't make a dent. Drug runners smuggling in bluefin tuna. Your money's long gone by now. Is there anything I can do to protect myself? I asked. I got a little something here. Officer Brimley lowered his voice and leaned close. Old Bay Magnum. A few blasts of this will stop a giant squid at 30 paces. He handed me a canister. Keep quiet about this. Damn do-gooders on Beacon Hill want to limit civilians to drawn butter and tartar sauce, as if that will do any good. Thanks, everyone.
That's funny. I love that.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's enough. Actually, that's not enough. We have, because funny enough, the man with the laugh track is actually next up on the open mic. I wrote him down as the number 2 person, as long as he is still willing to go on. If he doesn't need a breather, let's welcome up Mr. Bill Lewis.
Why, it is such a pleasure and an honor to come here before my fellow poets and recite great thoughts and concepts that inundate our lives and determine our futures and all that wonderful stuff, none of which I can do without slightly better lighting. I feel sometimes as if I live in 2 very distinct worlds. The world that I was just in, filled with, the students. I just had a high school class today that I was teaching, and they are excited and they're into life and they're doing things and they're obnoxious in the most wonderful way. They're obnoxious by being too busy, kind of thing. Oh, I want to do more. And and being here, and then especially with Harvard and MIT here. And so I was listening to this one gal's lecture, and I was just like, well, here, la, 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 la. I'm living the life, she proclaimed with pride. I've got what I need. I have nothing to hide. Her flat is so tiny and covered with stuff. No worry for me, I've got enough. I love ramen noodles. They're quick and they're fast. I buy them by the caseful. They will last. My cat rules the roost. I don't deny that. He makes quite a mess when he eats up a rat. My income is small, my needs smaller still. I'm doing okay, though I won't have a will. She went on for hours describing her work, her joy, her obsession that she couldn't shirk. The hours and hours locked away in a lab, staring at pictures of the nebulae crab, staring at galaxies, computing their masses, sorting through pictures to detect any gases. 10 to the minus 18 meters. It's really quite small, like a pin in a haystack to find anything at all. So why is she jumping up and down on her bed? Did something go wrong? Was it something I said? Your very first black hole is surely the neatest, but 2 black holes colliding, well, that is the sweetest. And gravity waves we were hoping to find, saving the ass of that old fart Einstein. I'm living the life, she exclaimed with great glee. And now there's more work to do. I'm afraid I must flee. So I am just so psyched. All these people I know who are just excited and building the world and out there, just so happy to be building the world of the future. And then on the other side, I work with people who are depressed and giving up, and the street people and everything is like, oh my God, it's insane. So there's a great, big, wonderful world out there. Shangri-La is there for the taking. All we need to do is participate. It is there, my friends. Go forth and embrace your future.
Thank you so much, Bill. Up next, one of our New York poets who has been joining in on our calls. Let's welcome up. Is she here? Ah, yes, Rita Rusty Rose.
Okay, tonight I'm going to do a poem in the series I'm working on. It's not acrostic, so that's a disclaimer, but it borders on it. And this is about the artist Edvard Munch. So you'd have to know his paintings and such. This is Recipe Edvard Munch. Stand yonder in nature, bask in moonlight, press palms against ears, open mouth wide, scream, Edvard, Edvard. Hunger and field of poppies satisfy sweet rotting flesh till clouds exhale a blood-red sky. Grasp hands around throat, scream, Edvard, Edvard. Travel fields of despair, past ladies of the bridge, the lonely ones, anxiety as it stalks. Vampires, the dead mother, dance on a beach of melancholia. Scream, Edvard, Edvard. Descry a starry night, angels of dead as they pursue. Hide by the deathbed in the forest of Thuringia. Scream, Edvard, Edvard. Try not to panic. Catch your breath. Imagine your dark times being summer's night's dream. Scream, Edvard, Edvard. In a dark, magical spruce forest, sit under a chestnut tree and eat Frida chocolate bars and pass out. And just so you know, Frida chocolate bars, Edvard Munch, there's a mural there at the company in Oslo that he did for that company.
Thank you, Rita. Good to have you back. And up next, someone who I have to help unmute. It's worth the wait, and the wait's only more than worth the wait. The wait's only a couple seconds. She has been joining us via phone since the very start of our online safe distance sessions. And I believe she's able to join us now and recite. Let's welcome up the great Carol Weston.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, I guess I'm thinking about Jack's birthday. I'm probably thinking on the wrong day. But it was 2 days ago, and I met him in 1971 at a reading he was running at the Charles Street Universalist Church. We were all reading the work of the jazz poet Steve Jonas. Raphael de Gutela was bringing his work forth, and Jack was publishing Steve's poems. And on my right stood Allen Ginsberg, and Ginsberg was very fond of Jack. And when he was dying, he phoned to offer Jack some money. And Jack needed money desperately, but he said, "Not for me. Give it to John Wieners, the poet up the hill." Anyway, that's I wanted to do with Jack. And then I'll just conclude with my poem, Electromagnetic Spectrum. It's to my husband, John Galloway, poet and professor of astronomy and cosmology. Because he taught me all the stuff before I went to school and taught it. I drink the light of the visible spectrum and the invisible ultraviolet and infrared. Ease me into these waves from the sun and other stars, where I may burn, transform. Electromagnetic spectrum, you are part of my breathing. I lie down in your color. I bend forward into you. I lean against your light.
Thank you, Carol.
Yay, Carol, thank you.
And going to go over to our one half of our power couple who is joining us now, although hoping, James, if you're there, is Jan available? Is she able to speak on the mic?
I have something from Writers Group, but not the piece I wrote on Elijah McCain's murder by 3 cops and 2 EMTs. But she's going to look for the draft because it was a draft. I might have read this before. You have to think of the Rolling Stones song, Missing You. This is called Tax the Rich, like we used to. Some good news. The Internal Revenue Service caught the founder of a hedge fund owing to the US government about $7 billion in back taxes. He's going to have to pay. The hedge funds are the main reason rents began to triple and quadruple in the 90s. They want to own hundreds of thousands of houses, and they do. More. Their greed addiction. They want to control the rentals too, and they own half the newspapers. Hedge funds own half the newspapers. So most Republicans and some Democrats do not want to resume taxing the rich. In the 1950s, the rich were taxed at 90%. After the first couple million, Reagan took the richest tax rate from 75% to 25%. Now the rich are taxed about like workers. Resuming taxing the rich could easily pay for the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, and now I'm just having bad things about the debt limit. Anyway, most Republicans and some Democrats, they want that money given to them to buy elections to stay in power. They don't want the IRS to collect. They just go after the little people, the IRS. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And who do we have next? Yes, let's welcome our second.
Jan!
Oh, hi, Tony. And who do we have next? Yes, we have our next, our second and final telephone participant. And I'm going to ask her to unmute by pressing *6. Let's welcome up Nancy Dotson.
Poodle versus Pussy. The dog makes pitter patter on the stone. The rushing dog begins to bark. Every time I hear a bark, I'm fearful. Will I wake someone up during the day or night? Will the dog chase his cat up the tree? Will the dog chase pussies on the top of the fence? And the barks interrupt one as the night wears on? Poodles should fear the dog, has never had his nose scratched by pussy. To scratch a nose is to fear pussy forevermore. Perhaps it is the best way not to hear a bark. Fear is a teacher of jungle law, and perhaps the wisest of all laws. It's instinctive.
Thank you, Nancy. Good to have you on tonight. And let's see who we have next. Yes, I believe he is in my upper right corner. You might want to put your camera down so you're a little less Kilroy, Mr. Sturm. This is our orator extraordinaire who I've known since the days of the Cantab. Let's welcome up Mr. John Sturm.
A lyric of Rachel Platten. Hands, put your empty hands in mine, and scars, show me all the scars you hide. And hey, if your wings are broken, please take mine so yours can open too. 'Cause I'm gonna stand by you. Oh, tears, make kaleidoscopes in your eyes, and hurt, I know you're hurting, but so am I. And love, if your wings are broken, borrow mine so yours can open too. because I'm going to stand by you. Even if we're breaking down, we can find a way to break through. Even if we can't find heaven, I'll walk through hell with you. Love, you're not alone, because I'm going to stand by you. Even if we can't find heaven, I'm going to stand by you. Even if we can't find heaven, I'll walk through hell with you. Love, you're not alone, because I'm going to stand by you. Yes, you're all I never knew I needed, and heart, sometimes it's unclear why it's beating. And love, if your wings are broken, we can brave through those emotions too, because I'm going to stand by you. Oh, truth, I guess truth is what you believe in. And faith, I think faith is having a reason. Now I know, love, if your wings are broken, borrow mine so yours can open too, because I'm going to stand by you. Even if we're breaking down, we can find a way to break through. Even if we can't find heaven, I'll walk through hell with you. Love, you're not alone, because I'm going to stand by you. Even if we can't find heaven, I'm going to stand by you. Even if we can't find heaven, I'll walk through hell with you. Love, you're not alone, because I'm going to stand by you. I'll be your eyes till yours can shine, and I'll be your arms, I'll be your steady satellite. And when you can't rise, well, I'll crawl on hands and knees with you, because I'm going to stand by you. Even if we're breaking down, we can find a way to break through. Even if we can't find heaven, I'll walk through hell with you. Love, you're not alone, because I'm going to stand by you. Even if we can't find heaven, I'm going to stand by you. Even if we can't find heaven, I'll walk through hell with you. Love, you're not alone, because I'm going to stand by you. Love, you're not alone. Oh, I'm going to stand by you. Even if we can't find heaven, yes, I'm going to stand by you. So sang Rachel Platten.
Thank you so much, John. We do have one or two late arrivals, and one I know is going to want to read, and I want to know if, before that happens, I want to know if Tony Bree was interested in saying something. Even if she's been a very busy bee. Since the mashup, she's been doing, she actually hosted a poetry event for the New England Poetry Club this past Sunday. She's so busy, she's not at her computer right now. Okay, we'll go back to her, but first I will bring up, where is he now? Yes, Miss Chris Fitzgerald, sir. If you are able to come on, you are up.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, it says 3 poems, but I'm just going to do 2. 3 poems. What a crazy night getting into this. 3 poems, all concerned with the poet's first responders. Mom and Dad, Mom and Pop, Father and Mother. So the 3rd poem, it's just Mother. I don't know where Dad was the day of the 3rd poem. Checking the air pressure of the car tires in the driveway. See if the frost had hurt the pumpkin. Maybe just kicking back with one of those drinks with the umbrellas in them. His presence in that poem wasn't required. The first poem is Philip Larkin's This Be the Verse. This is the old world. The old world's nothing new under the sun. Just the past over and over and over. Nothing new under the sun. Just the past. Blah, blah, blah. Piss and moan. Moan and piss. Your father's an asshole. You're an asshole. Your mother's an asshole. You're an asshole. Fixed ideas. Choking off anything new. Bernard Shaw once wrote, America and Great Britain, 2 countries separated by a common language. This is Philip Larkin. This be the verse. They fuck you up, your mom and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you. But they were fucked up in their turn by fools and old style hats and coats who half the time with soppy stern and half at one another's throats. Man hands on misery to man. It deepens like a coastal shelf. Get out as early as you can and don't have any kids yourself. Now, this is the new world we're starting here. Charles Bukowski died March of '94. Someone has to read his poems aloud now that Charles is unable. Bukowski wrote in a confessional style. I write in a confessional style. Confessional poetry isn't the same as church confessions or police confession. A church confession is a person admitting to sinful behavior to a priest. A police confession is a person admitting to illegal activity to a policeman. Confessional poetry is concerned with the wonderful sounds of language when it is alive. Right doing or wrong doing are not the primary concern. It is. That fourth grade poem of mine entitled What I Did Before My Summer Vacation, that little girl who sat in front of me in class, who I made laugh all year long, who I ended up blaming my impeachment as class president. That may or may not have happened, but that wasn't why I got impeached as class president. The real reason had to do with my pal who lived across the street from me, what I often called to walk to school with me. He would often be 10, 15 minutes late, thus making me 10, 15 minutes late. But that wouldn't make lively confessional poetry. Break him anyways. He cost me my presidency. Now he wants into my poetry. I'm sorry, I don't think so. Bukowski's confessions are similar. No matter what shit the world threw at him, he was always able to reach down. Hallelujah anyways. Never gave me the impression that he ever wasted one moment of his life feeling sorry for himself. He never let the group identify him. He identified himself. He knew the world wasn't competent to handle that responsibility. The man had the backbone of a great American from the last century, Crazy Horse. This poem also is a twofer. He not only portrays a richly intense life, 1930, but he kills a spider at the end of the poem, a Chilean recluse spider. I'm sure everyone remembers the Chilean recluse spider was responsible for the deaths of 14 Los Angelinos in 1929. He not only succeeds artistically, he makes the world a little safer at the end of the poem. Now, this is one of his last published poems, a poem written by a man in the 70s, but it seems to possess all the vigor and tenacity of a 12, 13-year-old boy who has for 10 minutes to convince two of his pals to hook school with him today. Charles Bukowski, Me Against the World. When I was a kid, one of the questions asked was, would you rather eat a bucket of shit or drink a bucket of piss? I thought that was easy. That's easy, I said. I'll take the piss. There were four of them. Fuck.
Are you okay,
Sorry,
Chris?
I lost the page. Sorry, and I'm in a place where I can't look for it. Sorry about that.
Not a problem. We can move on.
All right.
Thank you very much, Chris. And we will and let me see if there's anyone who is looks like we have one person signing up. And I know we have James to close us out. Okay, next we'll have a couple more people reading, and then of course we'll have Mr. Sam Cha read. Up next on the open mic, we have poet, activist, former Bostonian, now newly again christened Bostonian. Let's welcome up Didi Delgado.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Chad. I want to read something I just wrote, and I wanted to try it out here. So it's called Mirrors, and it's about my mom who passed in 2010. So I'd like to share it if that's okay with everybody. I walk past the mirror, and my mother says, "Come here." I would like to be angry, refuse this insolent request. Her methods of survival left us open portals to other people's tortured souls. Her death left us paralyzed and parentless. Boxes of my childhood memories and all of her belongings still sit in my basement, both of them unopened. I'll unpack all of this. Someday I'll have the space to figure out if I was given the responsibility of taking care of those who kill themselves, or did I choose to take this task on? The census did not have a selection for martyrs again this year. I approach the mirror. My mother tells me I don't have to work so hard to be her champion, says she's sorry she made me the strong one, says she was just trying to give me an emotional tool belt she did not own. My mother shushes me and says, none of this is your fault, mi niña. She reminds me of how I became a child of Mami Wata, seeing abusers destroy the body, financially starve us, then return to check in on our emotional capacity to see how much we could take. She says, you do not have to make the same mistakes I made. I don't know how to reconcile breaking the seal of the moving tape on the box labeled trauma. I don't know if anyone knows I've been sitting here with the scissors in my hand, hoping I could cut open something else easier to deal with. I don't know how she knew I needed her to visit me last night. Let me lay in her lap while she combed my hair away from my face. How can you need someone so badly, knowing they don't want to be here? I want her to rest in peace, but she's only at peace when she comes to fix the mistakes she's made at night with me. Thank you. Hi, Tony B.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Dee Dee Delgado! Talking about mommy! Yes, my sister. So
What's
good
up,
to
good
see you.
bones?
Black girl, black lady courtroom real quick, Chad.
It's good to see you, Tony. And I hope now that I'm back in Boston, we can talk.
Yes, let's talk.
Speaking of talking, Tony, would you like to read?
She said it all. I'll let mommy.
Well, would you like, well, let me introduce you as part of the open mic. I know you got something.
Dee Dee took my turn. You got it.
Oh, come on, come on.
Sam Chaw's here. Let's get to it. I'm quiet.
Okay, we do have one more person, and we're going to get him now, the closer for most Stone Soups. He is.
Oh my gosh.
He is one of the Star Wars.
Oh my gosh, Dan, she's wild.
He is the columnist for Oddball Magazine's It's All One Thing, which is published every Thursday morning without fail at 11 o'clock. Check him out and check out any open mic we've done or any video we've done at Stone Soup Poetry via my YouTube page. We've been recording this since we've had to get away from each other, and we are hopefully going to come back again, hopefully sooner rather than later. But for now, we're glad to have him as part of our group. Let's welcome up Mr. James Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad. So I have a piece here. It's called Like a Deer Panting, which of course is a line from, I think, the 42nd Psalm. Standing there in that brilliant blue day of the collapsing giant towers, thinking they won't use this as an excuse to do something really stupid. And then 5 days later, on the train going south to visit the little family who called us that very awful morning to say, do you know what's going on? The smoke still rising black from whence the Twin Towers should have once stood, the footprint of our maxi-modern hubris, where no one imagined the consequence. And here we are, 2 whole, full decades later, ever so later, but never ever past. We're only finally beginning to learn something about what actually happened. Oh, the current age, electric magic power to dominate this dueling dance of narratives, where the more they totally suppress, the more at all other levels we still express. The very bated breath bursts out panting for some honestly legitimate explanation for what cannot ever be truly tolerated, the final acceptance of this cult of death. And let me sing a little song. The empire's over. It's time to call it a day. They burst your pretty balloon and stolen the moon away. It's time to give up that masquerade. Just make your mind up. The piper must be paid. The empire's over. Candles flicker and dim. You danced and you dreamed through the night. It seemed to be right, just being with them. Now you must wake up. All dreams must end. Take off your makeup. The empire's over. It's all over, my friend. Now you must wake up. All dreams must end. Take off your makeup. The empire's over. It's so over, my friend. The empire's over. It's all over, my friend. Thank you.
Goodbye, Empire.
Na hey, hey, goodbye. Thank you very much, James, and thanks to everyone who participated in the open mic. Even if it was just a holler out. Thank you for our feisty open mic, people. This is great, and we're going to get to the feature. Just a quick reminder, I'll repost them later for those who came in late, but Sam Chaw's books book does have books available. The most recent one is the Little Yellow Notebook. It's available from Pink Books for $18. He has one more book available, but we'll post all that. And hopefully, Sam, if you will share a PayPal or Venmo link that we can donate to if you're not able to buy a whole book, which is understandable during these times. But I'm glad that you're here to support by listening. So again, thank you for coming to Stone Soup. The feature for tonight, as I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, is Mr. Sam Chaw. Sam Chaw is from Korea, and he earned an MFA at UMass Boston. He's also a 2017 recipient of the St. Paul's Club Emerging Artist Prize. His work has appeared in, this is what happens when I have an old prescription on, APT, Essay, Best New Poets 2016, Boston Review, Diagram, Memorious and Missouri Review. His chapbook, American College, was published by Portable Press at Yo Labs in 2018. His full-length collection of cross-genre work, The Yellow Book, was published by Pink Books in 2020. He lives and writes in Cambridge, Mass, and he just began a class. I believe it was at UMass Boston or was it Northeastern? Northeastern, I can't remember now. It was probably neither of those now that I said them. Oh, there you go. Oh, you were unmuted, but now you're muted again. Oh, now I just muted you and trying to ask you to unmute. Sorry. Okay, this will be the last time. I'm cutting off my hands. There we go.
I mean, yeah, UMass and Northeastern, but Northeastern is the new one. So, yeah.
Well, good luck with that. And
thanks, I need it.
If maybe you want to take a class with Sam, I'm sure he has contact info and information for that. It's not too late to learn, people, especially since the school year just started. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Let's say 30, 40 times for Mr. Sam Chaw.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
That's 40.
It has been a long time since I was at Stone Soup, and in like 2008 or so, there was a time when I came to Stone Soup every time. Like there was this bakery nearby, and they would be closing just as Stone Soup was opening. And so me and my friend Chris, we would stop by the bakery, and they would have all these bagels that they would give away and bread. And so like we were chronically underpaid. We were paying our rent with overdraft, and we lived on that bread. And so Stone Soup sort of fed us in many ways, both literally and figuratively. And so it is really nice to be back. And hi, everyone. I remember some of you from the old days, and I remember Jack, and he was very kind to me. Although by then he was like not very verbal, but I remember him fondly. So happy birthday, Jack. And John, I remember you well from the Cantab. And it's so good to hear your voice again. And good to hear all of you. Thank you for reading. Anyway, so, okay, I'm gonna do some old poems, I'm gonna do some new poems, and here we go. Word problem, feathers. Are you outraged sometimes that there is no word for each thing? That the world presses into you each moment and you cannot accept it, cannot make it yours and yours alone, cannot make it stay. That at one moment there is light and the pressure of light on your skin, and there is the movement of leaves, and there is the movement of sparrows, and there is the single feather falling, and there are the changing shadows of cars, and there are the shingles on the roof of the house that has seen 200 years, and there are the 4 children walking hand in hand who have seen 4 years, and there's the man strapping his hurdy-gurdy, and the movement of legs, and the changing reflections of the people on the map, and there is the yellow triangle of the patio umbrella, and there are red shoes, and there's the woman folding her newspaper, and there's the hard key under your finger, and there are the black stripes of branches, and the slow saunter of a drunk, and there are veins on his nose that are like the veins of your swimming instructor from 20 years ago, who is surely dead or dying and far away, and there's the ocean, and there are the waves on the ocean. And each of them moving and falling, and nobody sees them except satellites and Google. And none of it will stay. And the world is vast and tiny, and each speck of dust tumbling here and tickling against your nostrils is ash from some great fire burning lonely in the dark as the devil or God. And each brick in each wall was heated in fire until the grains of clay fused and ran, and the stuff of the mortar holding them together grew once in shells in a warm sea far away, and the gravity that makes each of them want to fall ripples outwards endlessly in time. What are you equal to? Not the clay, not the bricks, not the world. Have you earned the feather, that dappled thing? Can you take it home? So I wrote that about and in Harvard Square about, I guess, about 10 years ago, which is weird. Time is weird, guys. The yellow patio umbrella there is, a patio umbrella from the ABP in what is now the Student Center, which is gone. And the trees in the poem are gone. they're replaced with new trees, and yeah, time is weird. This is a short nightmare from the Trump era, and the title of it is Man Pain, and it's a prose poem, or prose something, prose strangelet. In my dream, it was daytime. There was a man sitting in our room. He sat on the floor at the foot of our bed. He took out a long piece of string, like dental floss, and pursed his lips. Then he looped the string around his lips. I knew I was dreaming this because I'd been reading an article about Hereditary, which is a movie, before I went to bed. So I wasn't surprised and only mildly shocked when he tightened the string with a sharp, full arm motion. He was really putting his shoulders and back into it, and his lips fell neatly off. He grinned at us, lipless. His teeth were very white. Then he turned around and leaned back so that the back of his head was resting on the foot of the bed. He took out a razor blade, the kind you get in a pack at the hardware store, dark gray and greasy with spots of rust. He started slashing at the corners of his mouth. Red lines radiated from the corners of his mouth like cat whiskers or sunbeams. Faster and faster he slashed, grinning all the while. We were terrified. We wanted to placate him. Thank you, I said to him in the dream. We're honored. Thank you, I said, trying not to provoke him. Thank you for allowing us to witness your pain. Let's see. I'm going to do some American sonnets. And if you don't know what an American sonnet is, it is a 14-line poem like a regular sonnet, except it doesn't have to rhyme. And if you have a problem with that, this is the answer, this next sonnet. Motherfuckers talking shit about American sonnets. I know what you want. To waggle your tongue in the old ferment. The pure Elizabethan product, 100 proof, guaranteed to make you go buck wild, flushed, knock-kneed, toe-curled, blank-eyed, blank-versed, brain all snow white, till you spill your thin black mange down your tighty-whities and come back to yourself. I get it. Sometimes I'd also like to forget that I'm no longer young, but the sonnet doesn't belong to you. There is nothing to own. Not a spit of land, nor a spit curl of rivulet for your chicken wire, your snares, your chicken shit sneers. Where's the rhyme scheme? Who cares? Not Shakespeare, not Keats, not Drayton, not Donne. It's not your lawn, yawn. Stop yelling. Be done. This poem ends with an epiphany. When Joe grabbed my Margaret Atwood book and started waving it around, it was too much for me. So I drop kicked him, which is why Joe and Nate O'Connell followed me all the way home after 8th grade, circling me on their bikes, brandishing miniature Red Sox bats, hawking big green loogies that went splat, splat, splat at my feet. I could take you to the corner of Garden and Linnaean, show you where the stains should be, the first between a line of black ants and a few fallen yew berries, the second 5.5 inches from a stop sign, and the last 2 feet from the fire hydrant where Fernald Drive opened like a trap. When they ditched their bikes, I stopped walking, tried to kick Joe in the windpipe and missed. He said, "Oh yeah, bring that karate shit, you slant-eyed motherfucker." It was then that I came to the realization that I would never become president of the United States of America. This sonnet is about the Atlanta shootings. March 16th, 2021. Fuck the killer's name. All 7 syllables. 2.5 generic trochees. First, middle, and last. Stubby and dull as the blade of a gas station hunting knife. Dissolve its cheap pattern weld of history. Burn the shop-worn Norman French off the minor Old Testament prophet. Snap the Anglo-Saxon rat-tailed tang. Toss the handle in the trash. Cart off the trash to a landfill surrounded by national forests. Let it sit there, undigested, stewing in methane and the meat juices of 1,000 Big Macs. Let the last starving timber wolf mistake it for a bone. Let it carry it off to the forest and choke. Let the forests burn in wildfires. Let the ashes sift in the feed trenches of factory farms, the Pepto-Bismol muck of hog lagoons. Let the people, unknowing, eat of the ashes of the name. All right. So these poems that I'm going to read are okay. Here's a story. There was a distant relative of mine named Teresa Hakkyung-cha. Her work, she was active during the 70s and the 80s, the early 80s. And her work is still taught in like many Asian American literature classes. Most famously, like her book Dictee, which is a uncategorizable work that is sort of a novel, but reads like an assemblage of prose poems, very experimental in technique, that was published a week after she was raped and murdered in New York City in 1982. So I've been working on a book where I'm trying to sort of channel her. One way that I'm doing this is by, I've fed a lot of her work into a AI. And so the AI generates words that are sort of based on her style, texts that are based on her style. A lot of it is utter trash and doesn't make sense, but a lot of it sounds like maybe like she would dreaming. And I've taken a lot of those and turned them into poems. And these are published in Folder Magazine. It's foldermagazine.com. They do one poet a month, and I was the poet like last March, this past March. Anyway, so if you do like Folder Sam Cha on Google, like you should be able to find it if you're interested. Maybe you're not. The other thing to talk about is that she has this art book that starts with audience, distant relative. I can only hope that you can hear me. So these poems are all based on that. They're kind of collaborations with her ghost, is how I think of it. Audience, distant, relative, anthroposition, anthropology, and this antithesis. I am trying to remember traits of history. Trace, how did I get here? Where is my moment? Where is the mother now? Where is the word? Where does the word come from? Where is it? Where does the word, when does the word come? From another moment, from far, afar from here. No interpolation, no cryptography, no commentary, no etymology. Where does my love come from? Where is my love? When? California, April, no such thing. All the time I had, had, as an inquisition concerning narrative, as a drumbeat, a string of unvoiced syllables, the days when I had no part in the plot, the days when I was merely a part of the moment, a part, a void, an imaginary, avoiding, if you were to spread them, those days across a map, across a terrain, as if a eulogy composed of unanswered emails, texts, the repetition of forget, as in all the myths. In the beginning, there was a God, and then 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 there was a God, identical, inhuman, lacking the singing of the mother tongue, the tremble, the subtle alteration from generation to generation in skin, in hair, in breath, in heartbeat, in bone. Then it must be true that confession is both punishment and crime. Audience, distant relative, I would like to emulate the consciousness of objects where what you see is what you are, as when Sundays sometimes you dissolve into the bare branch of a tree, fissuring the cold well of reality. I am not that I am. These fragments are traces of no ruin. These ghosts have never lived. The more I read Korean, the angrier I become. I remember feeling all blue and gray and white, all frostbite, snow chewed, all chronic overstimulation and all numb all over, which is a strange kind of kinesiology. I'm hyper incomprehensive, I am, etc. By and by, I got to the point where I couldn't read anymore. I had to stop. I stopped. I stopped picturing myself as a human, as a person, which is how I became ghosts. I didn't say ghosts don't say a ghost. I said ghosts. Ghosts don't say ghosts. Don't say don't say ghosts 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 say ghosts. All those images that once felt part of me now scatter, eddy, drift. A twitch of wind was my talent. A fleeting sleet was my opus. A composition of friction and chance. Not real reality, but an echo, not content with itself. Here, in some sense, the void and image are one and the same. The void and image are one. Thank you, she said, and walked back over to me. I was confused, I said. I was confused because I didn't think of you as human, I said, after a couple of moments. Is that true? I don't think so. I don't think so, said the woman. I don't think so. I was trying not to think about what it would like to be a person in the future when the words future and future would be used in exactly the same way, she said. Which is why I like sneaking around the edges of words in my writing, to be able to understand the human mind better, so I don't have to look to the hideous Maitreya for the last word, she said. Beyond whether you or I can escape the sentence, or if you're not sure what to do with your life, what with the injuries you've suffered, or the thought that you and your family might die in the translation room of another tongue, what is possible in the event that it is not possible to have a voice in your head that insists on speaking English as the first translator, in the event that it is not possible to have a voice in your head that insists on speaking English as the translator of sentences that are not English, in the event that it is not possible to have a voice in your head that insists on speaking English, the world was ajar. The world was a jar. The word is not the word. I meant to say the word. I meant to say the word is not the word I meant. I dreamt, I was conscious, and I was surprised. I meant I was called to be in the department of history. the department of the true color of the sky. Audience, distant relative. I was a stranger. I was a stranger to myself. I was depressed, like a lot of people. History is a wonderful sport. I walked in the rooms of myself, rifled through a desk, small, cluttered with a Diet Coke, a plastic spider, 5 essays on the lyric, Scotch tape, a silver disc struck with the face of George Washington, mouth closed to hide his stolen teeth, a Pentium 4, an empty bag of Takis Fuego, a broken belt, a crumpled up index card scrawled with this works, this, writing as a child, writing away from self, writing away into the world, a battery, a folding knife, a heat sink, a stimulus check, orality and literacy, dead jewel pods, a journal of the plague year, a sheaf of graph paper. Tiresias retains memory in the underworld, even without the gift of blood, milk, honey, water. The witch bends over his body, kisses him, and as she does so, mutilates his face, bites the tip of his tongue, pours whispered sounds between his dry lips to send a message down to Styx. From whence I came to suspect, I was in fact Eurynomus, who eats the flesh of the dead, leaving only bones, black blue as a carrion fly resting on a vulture pelt. If Hamlet is almost Hamnet, a stranger once told me, it's possible to confuse the playwright with the ghost. I think my time's up. Is that good? All right, cool. Thank you.
Sorry, I was so stunned I couldn't find the unmute button, but we'd be open for an encore, but if you are exhausted, I don't blame you. That was amazing. Put your hands together 30, 40 more times for Mr. Sam Chaw. I put his information again for his 2 books, the Yellow Book, the also American Carnage. They're both available via the 2 links. And let me just check. Whoops, I might put the wrong thing. Here we go. From Peck Magazine. Yellow Book. Rita Rusty Rose also commented where she could find the work of your relatives. It looks like you're sharing a link, possibly. Give me a second. And just for a couple people who got booted out and put back in again, I'm reposting the Yellow Book and American Carnage. Oh, and looks like there's an Amazon link. I'm just gonna follow that. If you do follow that, I think you're spamming us, but if you do follow that, you can find that. Oh, Big T Kindle edition. So this book is not only available through paperback, there's also a Kindle read. So there's 2 options to get it, one cheaper than the other, but this looks to be, wow, this is the best known work. I'm gonna be very interested in that. And haha, Amazon is evil. Okay, but hey, sometimes it's a necessary evil. Let's live with it. But so buy the book and also buy Sam's newest book and support both. You'll have balance. That will be good. So again, thank you guys very much. Also, Sam, if you had a Venmo or a PayPal, you can do donations if you want. Okay, you say no to that. We were just offering. But we will do our best to grab these books. And I urge you all to do that. I'll be putting links to the books on the videos and in Stone Soup tomorrow morning, hopefully no later than 9 o'clock. And Sam, that was a fantastic reading. I can't wait to listen to this again. I think I heard one or two pieces from the mashup, but always fantastic to hear the work. And it's great to have your work for prosperity as part of our ongoing video archive of Stone Soup during this pandemic. And we hope we have you back sooner. I think it's been a decade since the last time. Let's try and get you back sooner. And best of Dawn and the kids, and good luck with everything. And stay tuned for more open mic news for next week or a possible feature. I'm going to know more hopefully by tomorrow. And stay tuned for the feature for Denise Washington. I've been trying to get her for a while. She first featured as part of the Extra Mojo anthology, is put out by Minion Ariel King. I loved her work then, and I've gotten to know her also personally outside of poetry because she's a teacher colleague who went to classes with my girlfriend. So we've got to know each other there as well. And I have not yet been able to get to one of her pop-up poetry projects, but I've heard a lot of praise about them, and hopefully she'll explain more about that as time goes on, as the feature happens, and hopefully we'll be able to attend one before the end of the year. Also, stay tuned for more features and more friends, old and new, coming back to Stone Soup. I'm not comfortable putting the band back together and go meeting in the gallery. Too many people are immunocompromised. Too much of a danger. I talked to too many people throughout the day who are more excited about going back to church than they are of getting rid of the pandemic. So there are people out there, even in allegedly liberal Massachusetts, the anti-maskers are out there, the anti-vaxxers are out there, and I know too many of them myself, so I'm staying safe. I want everyone else to stay safe. I hope you guys do the same. Don't let your guard down, and take care of somebody else in the close to you. We're going to sign off now with the obligatory wave, so we can have a picture of Stone Soup. I'm going to have so many memory pictures of just me being a little speck somewhere. God, 2022 comes soon. Not for any reason that hopefully, hypothetically, the pandemic will end. Thank you so much, Sam. Good luck to everybody. Thank you for your participation. Watch this for the Stone Soup Crouton poem next week. And the show's over. See you next time. I'll come up with a less problematic ending phrase next time. Thank you, Tony, for coming. We'll see you guys next week. Tony, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.